And we're live.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Scott Hunter. I'm the principal at Grand Peak Academy. Thank you for joining us today on our first Facebook Live session. We're doing this today to try to explain some of the procedures and processes for returning to school. We're really excited to have everyone back. Gosh darn it, the school is too quiet without you, so we can't wait to get everyone back. We wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the options you have and some of one of the choices we're going to ask you to make between what type of schooling option you'd like to select, and then we're going to tell you a little bit more details to help you make that decision. We're also going to get a chance to ask we're going to give you a chance to ask some questions, and Mr. Henry, Brandon Henry, our board member, will be asking some of those questions, and we'll see if we can answer them. Again, because this is a fluid situation, as we all know, COVID is a challenging topic. We don't know all the answers yet, but we're doing our best and we're working our fastest. All right, so to just get started, we are planning two solutions this year. One is an in-school, in-person solution, and that's our preferred model. And we're using the guidelines that the district has devised, and we're also using guidelines that came from Governor Polis as well as from the CDC, and trying to put all those together. The honest truth is that we don't have recent guidance, though. We don't have guidance from El Paso County Health yet, and we're expecting to have some more information on Tuesday. So some of these plans might change, and I appreciate your patience as we learn about where we have to make a change. What we're going to do for in-person learning is try to practice distancing, and as well as increase our cleanliness and safety measures at the school. So we are going to be distancing our students. We're in a classroom now where we see students are around 6 feet apart in their desks. You don't see the students, but you see the desks. So we're also going to have procedures for coming into the building that allow us to distance. In the past, we've gathered 300 of us at the front of the building and all piled in. Obviously, we're not able to do that kind of a thing now. We're making plans to enter the building at multiple locations so we can space ourselves and distance better as we enter and exit the building. As of right now, we do not need to take temperatures of every student when they walk through the building. That's important. That will help us speed the entrance to the building. It's possible Tuesday we'll get new information, but as of right now, our guidance from our health officials is that we don't need to take temperatures. However, if a student gets the sniffles, has a fever, any of the COVID symptoms, they'll have to go to the office and be checked for their fever. In that situation, there may be students going home with symptoms even if they don't test positive. So we won't be doing any of the testing here, but we will be looking for those symptoms and asking students to go home. That would be up to a 2-week period. That would be a 2-week period of time for isolation. And then the challenge with that is kids might be going home and they don't really feel all that bad. What we want to do is be able to have those kids, if they feel comfortable, to continue to learn. So we do have a plan for that. We have a plan for that if they are continuing to learn, even if they have to go home. So the other procedures we're going to also implement at the school is cohorting. And what cohorting means is keeping the students that start together the entire day. And so the plan there is to have students, if they're with their homeroom teacher for, say, grades K to 5, those students will stay with those students even through lunch, even through recess. So they'll be able to have experiences in other places of the building, but they'll still be cohorting. They'll be going with each other. And we will be doing our best not to have those cohorts mix at this point. In middle school, what we'll be doing is also cohorting. So students will be with the same classroom, and what we're working on now is whether those students will be moving from class to class, or whether those students will stay and the teachers will move from class to class. So we're working on that procedure right now. So that describes sort of the basics of the day. If you're a student who gets lunch here, we're still planning on serving lunch, and the way that will happen is the students from that classroom who are getting lunch will go as a group down to get lunch. They'll grab the lunch and they'll have lunch back in their classrooms. There's a possibility that we'll be able to have 2 classrooms separated out in the cafeteria. But we have many more than that who have lunch at one time. So most of the classrooms will be having lunch in the classroom. Recess, we'll also be doing recess in cohorts. It's gonna be fun though, I promise, because we have so many great places around the building to play. We're working on working with the HOA to play in the field. We're working on, we're going to be able to use our playground facility, possibly splitting it out, and we have several other places, so we can have multiple recesses happening at the same time. So that's our on-campus, that's the basics of the on-campus option, and we're very excited. The teachers are excited to get back to class. I just talked to a lot of them this morning, so they're very excited to get started with the school year. The other option is an off-campus option. If for students who might need to be off-campus for safety reasons, we will have an off-campus option, and I think it's really unique. We have a lot of the details nailed down, but there are some pieces that we are still working on as a staff. What we're planning on doing is a live streaming option. So we'd have a camera placed toward the front of the classroom that would take video of the instruction that the teacher's doing toward the front of the classroom. So the great thing about that is that instead of like the emergency e-learning system we had previously, you'd actually have a lot more instruction during the day. So there'd be a lot more direct instruction from the teacher. There would also be an ability for students at home to be able to hear some of the discussion and questions that come up during that learning. So there's a lot of great opportunities that are coming with that. There'll also be times during that streaming that you wouldn't be seeing stuff like transition times and other moments, but you'd have a schedule of the day. You would know that math might start at 8:15, that reading would start at, say for example, 9:20. So then you would know, okay, if I tune in then, I'm gonna get math. If I tune in then, I'm gonna get my reading class. That's how that will be structured. There are pieces of that streaming process that we're still working out. Mr. Henry's great on the technology, so we're looking forward to getting his assistance with how that'll work.
Talk about this number of students in the online classes.
Yes. The number of students in online classes. So we're trying to figure out right now who's going to be online. So that's what we need to try to figure out. We're anticipating that 1, maybe 2 teachers per grade level will be teaching online, teaching the streaming method. So what that looks like is, if for example, 14 students in 4th grade decide to be at home, what we'll have is 1 teacher teaching in their classroom. They'll physically have maybe 10 students to equal the 24. So 10 students will be physically here, and the teacher will also have the 14 students at home. So the beauty of that is that the teacher can give more instruction, can also be more attentive to what's going on at home. Not only are you getting the direct instruction, you're getting the assignments through your electronic medium. We're using Google Classroom again. But also, when trouble comes up, when difficulty happens at home, we'll have the teacher, a paraprofessional able to help when those individual questions come up. So one of the reasons that we're asking parents at this point to choose one of these methods, either at home or in person at school, is that we're trying to organize our staffing so we can organize how those classes look. That's why we're going to be giving you a short turnaround time for when you have to decide. We're going to ask that you decide by Tuesday. I'm not sure the date, but it's this upcoming Tuesday. We're going to want all parents to decide which one. There may be some parents that want one child to be at home and the others to be at school, and that's okay. So that's why we're going to ask you to fill out the survey for each child that you have. We want to know what your plan is for each child.
And it's a quarter commitment.
Yeah, that's another good point. It is a quarter-long commitment. So what we are requesting in order to keep our staffing organized and keeping a good flow of education in the building, we're going to ask that you commit to 1 quarter at least of learning on one side or the other. So through October 2nd, if you choose to be at the building, you'd be at the building through October 2nd, barring something happening in terms of your health or that sort of thing. But the commitment would be 1 quarter. If you're choosing online, same thing. So you'd be choosing to be in the online version of the school for 1 quarter. Certainly choose to, you could certainly choose to change after the quarter, and that would be great, but it'll help us with our planning for our staffing.
Start date.
Wow, start date. This is exciting. We got information from the school district right before the 4th of July weekend that they had just released their plan. So they released their plan right before the break, and then and they went on vacation right after that on that Friday. So I was trying to get a hold of them, but we finally got a hold of them we got word back on Tuesday night that it was possible for us to have school start on time. We were able to get the services. However, what we realized was we wanted to make sure we had the same safety precautions that the district was using, and that they had thought that out real well, and we wanted to make sure that we could also match what they were doing with that, as well as respond to the new classroom situation, the physical classroom situation. Usually when teachers come back, we have about 3 days to get ready for school. That's not enough time for us to plan safety procedures as well as to remove things from our classrooms that we might need to remove because we need to instead space our students out. So what we did was we got together with the board and we made a decision to the board made the decision to delay our start till August 10th. So we're going to start Monday, August 10th, full day for all students. In the previous version, we had a half day for kindergarten in that first week, but now we're going to go, just to keep it a nice, clean, let's get started approach, we're going to have full day for everybody, kindergarten to 8th grade, starting August 10th.
The form will be sent today, and it will be per kid, not per family.
The form will be sent today, so we're going to send a form. I'm hoping it's going to be per kid, but it might come to you as a family. But you fill out the form. If it comes 1 per family, you just fill out. If you have 3 kids, fill it out 3 times, and just put the different name of the child in there and the different grade of the child and the selection. So that form will be pretty clear. If you have any questions about the form, please email me or others in the office staff. PreK is also starting on the 10th. So PreK is going to also do a delayed start so they can accomplish the same types of things. So PreK to 8th grade is going to also be on the start on the 10th. Good question. Bring them on.
What about guests in the building?
Guests in the building. What we're going to do, we do have staff guests, some special ed itinerants that are at different schools that come to the building and need to work. All staff and adult visitors to the building will wear masks. So masks in the building. Right now we are not requiring, but we're highly recommending that students wear masks or face shields. This is not an adult option. You might see students wearing these if you choose to send your child with one, but currently this is not an adult option. So adults will have to wear masks, and we didn't fully answer that question though.
Yes, what about just volunteers in the classroom?
Volunteers in the classroom. What we're going to do with volunteers in the classroom is we're going to ask for at least that first month of the school year in August to not have volunteers in the classroom. We're going to try to make sure that we get our procedures right and make sure it's great for the staff and make sure it's great for the students. And we certainly want that communication open with parents and teachers. So we certainly encourage that. Email, phone calls. But right now what we're going to do in August is distance the parents and the other adults, other volunteers, grandparents, from coming into the building at least for that first month. And then once we set our procedures there, we're going to roll out how we're going to get parents in the building. Because as a charter school, it's very important in our mission, but it's also very important to us to have parents in the building. And so we're going to work really hard to get those procedures set as fast as we can.
What about pick up and drop off?
Pick up and drop off, that's my favorite topic. Pick up and drop off is going to be great because we're going to just have to distance a little bit more. As I mentioned, with drop off in the morning, instead of the one door we're going to go in, those two front doors at the main door, at the main entrance, we're going to try to use a lot more entrances, and we'll communicate more about that process. But the thinking right now has to do with having less cross traffic once the students are in the building. So kindergarten, for example, might enter in through the kindergarten playground. Second grade might enter through the main entrance, and that way they're very close to their classrooms. So we'd have less crossing of students in that environment. We'd also have distancing outside and staff helping to maintain that distance outside. So it's going to be great to see your friends. Just make sure you keep that distance of 6 feet or more, and we're going to have a great year.
Back to school night virtual.
Yes. So I also wanted to mention pickup. Pickup, we're also going to be developing procedures for distancing. So are we all going to be picking up and dropping off on the main circle? Probably not. We're going to probably need to distance more, and we'll talk about some of those locations for your pickup procedures as we develop them. And Chris, you mentioned
Back to school night.
back to school night. Back to school night, we're also going to have a virtual back to school night. This is not obviously ideal because I'd like to get all the students in the classrooms with the parents. But the beauty of this experience will be that we're going to get video of the teachers showing, especially the younger students, their new classroom and what to expect when they arrive. We know also that we have testing days. We have one testing day identified, and we're going to use, is that a Friday?
The third.
Is it the third?
Hold on, I'll tell you right now.
It's called an assessment day. We're going to have we will announce it later, but it'll be a day adjacent to that day where we're also going to add another assessment day, so that because we now have a couple extra days, we're going to add another assessment day so we can distance more students and parents when they bring their kids here for assessment.
August 3rd is a Monday.
August 3rd is a Monday, so we probably shoot for August 4th. So August 3rd and 4th would be the assessment days. Those days would be great to bring stuff in. So if you have school supplies, other things to bring in, that would be a good day to say hi to teachers, to bring stuff in, to find out where the desk is going to be, that sort of thing. So that'll be what we do there, and we'll have a virtual. We'll also have a virtual presentation where teachers will be able to tell you about the classroom, about some of the routines of the day, just giving you that warm welcome and that feeling that, yeah, this is going to be great coming back to school.
There's a few school supply questions. Are the school supplies changing? Do we know when families will find out about school supplies, et cetera? Somebody mentioned that they bought an EduKit.
Mm-hmm.
So just...
Yeah, EduKits will still be delivered to the school, so you don't have to worry about that. And the school supply lists stay the same from what you received, what you've seen on the website or what you've received. So all those supplies are the same. If you have questions about school supplies, please call the main office. Ms. Hazley, Ms. Aragundi will be able to answer that starting on Monday.
Let's see. Are we still going to do sports and after-school programs? Someone says that defeats the purpose of a cohort.
It's a good point. What we're going to try to do is evaluate sports over the next week to couple weeks. We need to figure out how we can do that in a safe way. I've also heard about, choir and band. How do those happen? When can we distance enough in those kind of activities that we can keep them safe? So what we're going to do when Ms. Radcliffe, our school nurse, works with the El Paso County Health, she's going to get some more guidelines on Tuesday to help us make some of those decisions.
What school supplies will we need at home for an online model? Would a list be provided?
Yeah, that's a very good question. What's an online? What online supplies would you need? Again, just like the March, April, May experience, computer is going to be pretty important because that's going to be the way to see the live stream. Obviously, I think possibly some phones can do this too, but I'm not that technologically savvy. So I believe that that will work also for seeing things. But in terms of having an interactive or responsive an ability to be able to use a mouse and type will probably be important. So if you're going to be online and you don't have access to the technology, make sure you contact us, contact the school, and we'll make sure that we are offering that opportunity.
What about champions?
And I also wanted to mention on school supplies at home. I think the school supplies at home will be similar to the supplies you'd need at school. So if there's a notebook or there's a binder, something that you need to write in, some of those pieces will be the same. You would need exactly the same items. Would you need to bring tissues? No. So you would just keep your tissues at home and use your own tissues. So school supplies would be not brought to the school. Those would be supplies you would need at home, and teachers will communicate with you if those are different than what's on the list. Champions is here and now, working with students. So they started a couple weeks ago, and they're available for before school or after school. I believe it's 6 a.m. is their start, and they go till 6 or 6:30 at night. And they are available. So Champions is absolutely up and running. If you're interested in more information about Champions, you can go to their website. Whatever their website is, you look up Champions Daycare. It's also on our homepage, and just look up contact information, and you can find out more about Champions. A great option for before or after school.
Can you hit a couple items about what we approved on the new school uniform policy? Someone was asking.
Okay.
I mean, there's not a lot, but just...
Sure. So someone was asking a question about the new school uniform policy. We're very excited. We think this really fits with our mission and vision. We still want a clean, really good-looking, professional look at school. Obviously, if you're at home, that's not the same expectation, but the expectation at school is that we have the same color pattern. Middle school has a variety of colors for the shirts, any solid color, and then for younger students, it's gray, black, navy,
Red.
and white and red. So those are the options. The school uniform hasn't, the basics of the school uniform hasn't changed. There's a couple of minor differences, and that's going to be going out in an email probably in the next 2 days. One of the other changes is that we're not going to require belts on pants. So if your child comes to school and they've forgotten to put a belt on, it's not a problem. We still want them in class. We want them to be in school. And so if you have belt loops, it's not a mandate. It does look great. We appreciate when students wear belts. That looks fantastic. But if you don't have a belt, that's not a problem. So that is no longer, belts are no longer mandatory. Are there any other
Can you hit it one more time? For Michael King just asked about online from virtual to in seat, just, kind of how that, we can't swap back and forth, but when we can do it?
Correct. So the request that the school is making is that you make a commitment for 1 quarter. That's through October 2nd. So that'd be August to October 2nd. We may alter that after we get through the first quarter. We may have a different expectation after that. It may be the same quarter to quarter expectation. But for this quarter, what we're expecting is that you choose one or the other. Obviously, if the situation comes up, there's a health situation, if something comes up where you're not able to be at school, we're going to work with you. But the request is that you really do your best to make a commitment to one or the other. And then at the end of that quarter, you could come to us and say, look, we would rather be in the other option. If you don't come to us, we're going to believe that you're going to stay in the current option. We're not sure right now how long we're going to be offering the online option. Is it a 1-year situation? Is it a 6-month situation? We know it'll go through the first quarter. I fully anticipate that it'll go through October and that it'll probably go, through the second quarter.
Mostly, I'll just reiterate again that we don't really have all the answers that that.
Yeah. Again, we don't. Mr. Henry's reminded me we don't have all the answers, so we don't know as things change in terms of the health situation in our world. We don't exactly. We're going to be making those decisions as we get closer to those times. So if we still have an emergency type situation that we have now, I anticipate we'll go through the end of the year, possibly afterward if we have to. We're going to be responsive to our families. We want to be committed to you. We want to make sure that we have good options for all types of families.
Can you just kind of reiterate to the middle school families that we will talk to them about Ponderosa separately?
Sure.
A couple questions have come up about that.
Yeah, the question about Ponderosa, what we do know is that we won't be doing the overnight at Ponderosa, and we're working on whether it's feasible to do day trips to Ponderosa. We really felt like this is a super important experience. We've been doing this for a number of years, and it's a great bonding moment for our students, but we also had to be mindful of the situation in cabins and that kind of thing. So we made the decision this year to not go overnight. In terms of whether we do field trips for Ponderosa or other grade levels, other field trips and other grade levels, we're still working those details out. We need to get more guidance.
Talk about cohort, like what a cohort is one more time. A couple people asking about that.
Yeah, question about cohorts. So what a cohort, in our thinking of what a cohort is, and this is what other schools are thinking also, the cohort is a group of people that doesn't have as much cross contact with other groups of students. So for example, our cohorts will be these cohorts of 25-ish students, your homeroom class, your group at your grade level. And at this point, they wouldn't have a lot of contact with the other grade level unless we set up some, people want to talk and we have virtual meetings between classrooms. The idea is that we keep some physical distance because we know there's going to be a little bit less physical distance within our own class. And but we do keep that physical distance with the other class next door. So the idea is that in all those places, like especially at recess and lunch, the cohort will be having recess and lunch with only that one cohort. And the idea is, of course, that what we want to do is if there does happen to be an infection or there's some problem with that group, that stays as contained as possible. And in that light, we'll be making, we would be communicating actively with families in those spaces and making sure that people know what's going on. So we want to make sure that that's transparent. For example, if we have someone who is showing COVID symptoms, we have an isolation room down in the office. So we want to make sure that we can attend to them and help them as much as we can, but we also want to make sure that student's isolated from the rest of the students. We also want to make sure at that point that we make contact with families so that they know sort of what happened. Are we going to call every time there's a sniffle? I'm not sure. I need to talk to Erica, who's going to find out more on Tuesday. So, but we are going to take those types of safety measures because we feel like it's important. We owe it to our students. We owe it to our families.
Talk about also the really great HVAC system we have.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you show it to them?
So in case you haven't read any of the information on these hospital environments that have been set up real fast for COVID, a real important factor is setting up a unidirectional. That's a one-way flow for air conditioning. So the beauty of the one-way flow is it cleans the air faster. In a lot of traditional systems, the air comes in and goes out in the ceiling, and that's called a mixing system. So there's a lot of mixing, they call it a miasma of air. In our system, we have a brand new building. We have the outflow of our air conditioning here, and as the air flows in, it flows unidirectionally straight up. So in a safer way, it takes the air out of the room in a safer way. So we're super excited. We didn't even know that this would be a positive aspect of our new system and our new building, but in fact it is. We just thought it was something that was taking up room for another bookshelf.
Can you go over start and stop times real quick? A couple of questions.
Start and stop times are changing for next year. I think we announced that earlier in the summer, but what we approved is that the start time is still 8 a.m. and it's fine to have drop off at 7:45. We're still planning on that. There'll be updated information as to where you're going to drop off and how we can keep distancing. We'll have more information on that upcoming, but for right now we know about that time. It's about 7:45. In the afternoon, we're looking at 3 o'clock for for kindergarten to 5th grade. 3 o'clock and 3:10 for middle school. So middle school will end at 3:10. And pickup will happen in hopefully that same time period. Usually we finish that process up in about 15 minutes or so.
Valerie and Marcia let me know the 6th and the 7th are our current pre-assessment dates.
Okay. So I got new information. Thank you, staff at home, helping me out. We have our pre-assessment days are the 6th and 7th. So I don't know if those changed, but they are now the 6th and 7th of. They must have changed because that moved into that week. The 6th and 7th of August. So teachers will contact you, send emails to you after they make phone calls home. They will They'll contact you to sign up for your assessment days. So it'll be either the 6th or the 7th, and we'll be here doing those assessments. Those are primarily kindergarten to 5th grade.
I answered a question about that online, but kind of go over the process for that with the forms and then filling out the classes with what students and then teachers contacting them?
Just sort of the steps, like
Like
we
they'll
gotta get
find,
the forms
Marcia
back.
will go through and figure it out.
Oh, right. So one piece that's happening, once we receive your information, which selection you've made, in person or online, we will then start to help build our classes, because we'll have to make some adjustments to classrooms and who's where, because we're probably only going to have one, maybe two classrooms of live streaming. So in that light, what we need to know is who's going to be where, so we can put those kids in that class. After we do that, we will be able to give information to teachers about who's in which class, and then we're expecting that teachers would be calling that week after next. So we would be making calls to help out with, just welcome to school. I'm your child's teacher. We always make those calls every year, and we'll be making those hopefully within 2 weeks.
Can the Walker forms be sent out electronically? Because
We
a
can put
couple
them on the
people
website.
it's on the website?
We can put them on the website.
Yeah, so someone asked about walker forms. So if you'd like your child to simply walk home from the school or walk to school, you fill out a walker form, and that lets us know who we should keep track of and who we can wave goodbye to as they walk away. So we typically have those in the office, but what we're going to do is have those put on the website so that you won't have to pick those up in person.
I think we can wrap it up, and we won't answer every question, but give us some grace. We'll try to answer some questions in the comments, and we'll share information as we get it. That's what I think.
I think you've done a great job. You've answered
Yeah.
just about, Brandon and I shot you just about every question there was. And so I don't think too many people can be mad at you for that. You've given them tons of information.
We're trying. And again, we've given quite a bit of information. Some of you may have remembered, some of you won't have remembered. We're going to try to repeat a lot of that information over the next coming weeks. As I mentioned, some of it might change, so we'll just continue to come to you with multiple methods, email, and make sure we keep communicating with families. If you have any more questions, you can leave them. I don't know if you can leave them further on the chat if you'd like to. If not, please email me, email the office staff. We'd be really happy to try to answer your questions and have a great year so we can get this year started.